It's FYF Sports Debates. We are back with another podcast episode. And as you guys saw, man, the Phoenix Suns, in epic fashion, just simply dismantled the Denver Nuggets in a 4-game sweep. This is a Denver Nugget team a bit handicapped with the loss of Jamal Murray. That was a big loss for that team, but, you know, they took care of business over the trade deadline, bringing in Aaron Gordon, really giving that lineup a lot of length. And then we were all hoping to see the potential growth of Michael Porter Jr. Could he grow up fast and become that second tier star that Jokic desperately needed to help keep this team afloat in Game 4? We're going to get to those highlights here in a second. Before we get started today, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you have not done so already. Salute to everybody watching from YouTube. Salute to everybody watching from Newsbreak. If you're watching from Newsbreak, make sure you head over to the YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button because we drop a lot of videos outside of the content that you see on Newsbreak. We also have epic live streams that you don't want to miss. So continue checking us out on Newsbreak. We got some big time interviews coming up with Newsbreak. We're going to be talking with Chris Paul and Anthony Davis pretty soon. That's going to be dropping on Newsbreak exclusively. So make sure you go into the description of this video, you download the Newsbreak app so you can be one of the first to check out those interviews, man. 2 big time interviews, a lot of information, a lot of questions answered. You know, here at FYF Sports, we ask the toughest interview questions. But man, back to this game. Phoenix Suns, Denver Nuggets. Now, Denver Nuggets took care of business against the Portland Trail Blazers. Portland was a team that some people had getting to the Western Conference Finals. That led many to believe that Denver would be able to take down the Phoenix Suns. But the one thing that we saw with the Phoenix Suns against the Lakers we saw this very quickly, was that the Phoenix Suns were for real. We saw that from Game 1 all the way to Game 6 when they eliminated the Los Angeles Lakers. Even though the Lakers were injury-riddled, they beat the Lakers in dominating fashion. They left no questions answered, especially in that Game 5 and that Game 6. Can the Phoenix Suns do the same thing here? Well, in Games 1 through 3, Phoenix took care of business. A lot of those games were in dominating fashion. We got the Denver Nuggets at home, right? Can they avoid the sweep? You know, can they make it respectable? At least get one game before you go back to Phoenix and get eliminated in 5. Were the Denver Nuggets, you know, could they at least come together as a team, you know, and figure out a way to win? We're going to get to those highlights now because, as you guys already know, they definitely couldn't get it done. Mike Malone, I feel like his job can potentially be on the line. I mean, it's been multiple years of subpar playoff performances outside of last year when they surprised everybody with those 3-1 comebacks. But we have to look at what's happening right now. A lot of those players on that Denver roster look like they're struggling to find an identity, a role, a purpose. I mean, in our live stream, we talked about how you have a talent like Bo sitting on the bench. Is he just a bust or a bum? Well, why are we not using a player like that who can shoot the ball? He's 7 foot tall. He can handle it. We see him in the preseason. We see flashes of greatness, but we never see him on the court. We see Michael Porter Jr. He's simply been a shell of himself this series. All right. We see that he's now just become a corner 3-point shooter. Can he excel in this type of offense that Mike Malone has drafted? And he struggled. And those are some of the things that I was looking to see a big time improvement on going into Game 4. But ultimately, we got the exact opposite. Let's go ahead and get over to the highlights right now. Denver Nuggets, Devin Booker, Nikola Jokic, Game 4. I mean, who would show up to play? What team will we have show up to play? You know, this Denver Nugget team, they play sluggish. They play lackluster. But they start the game off, you know, they look like the lead and withstood any run. As we see, the Denver Nuggets players could really guard him or Chris Paul in the mid-range going into the worst. And again, I like what Aiden consistently did. Aiden consistently rolled and put pressure on this team. Jokic, P of the league in the open court when they made that man play in space. Composure with this play. Look at this right here. A lot of people say he didn't hit him in the face. He swipes him in the nose. Cameron Payne goes down. Just not a basketball play at all. Dirty. And I understand the frustration on Nikola Jokic's part. I like what he did right here, man. He apologized to the man on his way out, but he definitely was ejected in the 3rd quarter. And one layup right there. Ultimately just finished to say about this win.
I feel really good, man. I've been waiting on this for a really long time. Just playoff basketball in general. You know, a lot of people have been saying, you know, I haven't played any meaningful basketball and, you know, I'm not ready for that. And this is my time to prove it. So, we're having fun with it. The whole team's having fun with it, having great leaders like CP, Jay Crowder, Coach Monty around here helps out a lot. So we're having fun with it.
And there we have it right there, man. The Phoenix Suns come away with a Game 4 victory. The only sweep that we've seen in this NBA playoffs thus far. They win Game 4, 125-118. The game really wasn't close as what the final score actually showed. Denver made a late run in garbage time, but it just definitely was not enough. When we look at the Denver Nuggets, man, the Denver Nuggets on the night, they're going to have to go into this offseason really, really questioning, can they go forward with this unit as is? Because I honestly believe that even with Jamal Murray, they still get beat in 4 or 5 games. I don't think Jamal Murray makes up for the gap that Devin Booker and Chris Paul imposed on this team. All right, when we look at this team, Michael Porter Jr., 20 points, 4 rebounds, 0 assists. Aaron Gordon, who's supposed to be a corner piece in one of the trades that really was going to accelerate what this team could do in the playoffs, but he was absolutely irrelevant and invisible in this series. 8 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Jokic, before the ejection, man, he played 3 quarters, 22 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists in a frustrating night. And I understand his frustrations, man. This man came out, and I think it was Game 3. He dropped a 30-point triple-double, and they still lost. I mean, this man is out there doing absolutely everything in his power to win games. But I think it's the others just simply not showing up. Will Barton, back from a hamstring injury, drops 25, 5 and 2. Solid game for him. Morris in the starting lineup. That reserve guard, he replaced Campazzo in the starting lineup. He came with 19 points, no rebounds, but also 6 assists. Campazzo comes off the bench with 14 points, 2 assists. Rivers with 5, JaVale McGee with 5. But this team just definitely, they did not have any answers for a Phoenix Sun team that just put on a dominant performance this entire series, man. And this right here, this game right here solidified it for me. Chris Paul, we have to start putting him in those conversations of where he's gonna fall among the greats all time. Is he in the top 20? Is he in the top 25? But it's gonna get to a point where we're gonna have to start having those conversations, because at 36 years old, Chris Paul is playing 40 minutes. He played 40 minutes tonight, drops 37, 3 rebounds, 7 assists. I mean, just unstoppable in the pick and roll. All right, the Denver Nuggets gave him that mid-range jumper all night. He took it. They exposed Jokic to a certain degree. You're talking about the league MVP. What did they do? They went right at the league MVP in the pick and roll. They targeted him on play after play after play, especially in the mid-range. Jokic couldn't guard Booker or Chris Paul in that mid-range. Devin Booker ends the night with 34 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. Both of those guys, I'm talking about 2 historically great games to finish off this series. Miles Bridges, who's been playing great basketball all this playoffs, 14.6 rebounds. Crowder, who's been really consistent, especially defensively, 9 points, 10 rebounds. DeAndre Ayton started this game off early, really applying pressure to Jokic in that pick and roll. 12.7 rebounds. Cam Johnson, 7 points off the bench. Sark with 5, Campaign with 4 before that flagrant foul. And the Suns are moving on to the Western Conference Finals, and whoever they play, I think you have to really look at the Suns right now. I think we have to really look at the Suns and say, with the Lakers out, with LeBron James out, with no Steph Curry in this playoffs, when we look at Brooklyn, we see how they're decimated with injuries right now. Kyrie Irving's out in that game 5. No James Harden in that game 5. Kevin Durant standing alone over there right now. If that trend continues, it looks like the Bucks could potentially finish them off in 6. We have to admit that the Phoenix Suns are probably the title favorites right now over the Utah Jazz. Now, it's not locked. It's not locked in. I think if they match, I don't think they match up with the 76ers very well. I think Joel Embiid could give them a lot of problems, a lot of nightmares. And they have the length and speed to guard Chris Paul and Devin Booker in that mid-range area. I think the Bucks also pose similar problems with their length and defense. But the way, remember, it's just about momentum and how teams are playing. The Phoenix Suns are playing the best basketball of any team in the playoffs. And I said this before the playoffs started. So the one thing you always have to consider when you're looking at the Phoenix Suns is they have the versatility to play any style of basketball that you want. The Utah Jazz, Well, we know what they are. You know, they're going to be a team. They're going to defensively. They're going to force you into the paint. They're going to make you take contested shots up against Rudy Gobert, and they're going to chuck up a lot of threes on the offensive end. With the Clippers, we know that they're going to go ball dominant, a lot of ISO stuff with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. A lot of the teams left in the playoffs, we know exactly what they can do. They can't switch their styles up and play multiple styles. This Phoenix Suns team, they can play slow plays, go into the post with Ayton. All right, if they wanted to space the floor, they got guys like Sark, and they can go small. If they want to play fast with pace, we got Chris Paul, one of the best floor generals. If you want to play in the half court, you also have Chris Paul and Devin Booker, who can make any shot on the court at any time. Some of the best shot makers in the game. That's why this team is dangerous. Does it lock them in to win the title? No. But here at FYF Sports, man, we have to label this team as title favorites right now based on how they're playing. Now, injuries haven't hit this team yet. All right, so you want to cross your fingers if you're a Phoenix Suns fan, because we are starting to see the injury bug is slowly sprinkling around the league. All right, as we saw it decimate the Lakers, we saw it bother the Portland Trail Blazers, we saw it eventually catch up to the Denver Nuggets and Jamal Murray. All right, we saw it hit the Bucks. They lost DiVincenzo. All right, we saw the Sixers. They're dealing with a lot of here and there injuries with Embiid, Tobias Harris. They lost Danny Green for a couple of weeks. I mean, some of these teams that hasn't got hit, where they just need to cross their fingers and and that's why I'm happy the Phoenix Suns got this series over with quick. You don't want to continue to play around with these teams and increase your chances for some ridiculous ankle sprain or something, some wild injury to really put a damper on what your team could potentially do this season. So you got to give a big salute to the Phoenix Suns. They showed up, they showed out, they took care of business. One of the few teams just to lock in, take care of business. They're my title favorites right now. But we got to see how it pans out, man. The East is not playing any games. The Bucks and the Sixers both look formidable. We're going to be covering those games as well. So make sure you tune back in to FYF Sports. We're going to be dropping some NBA film study videos. We're going to be going live as well. So if you, like I said before, if you're watching from Newsbreak, if you haven't done so already, make sure you come over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, follow us, because we're going to be dropping sports content all year long. Well, we're rounding out. We're getting to 25K subscribers on YouTube. Cannot wait till we hit that threshold. We're gonna be doing another giveaway when we get there. So make sure you guys tune into that live stream as well when we hit 25K subscribers. Hey, but it's FYF Sports. It's been another great podcast episode. Congratulations to Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and the Phoenix Suns for a very dominant performance against the Denver Nuggets. A salute to those guys. Look forward to covering them a little bit more in the Western Conference Finals. Hey, but until then, make sure you guys just tune in for all of our other news and live streams. We're going to be bringing a lot more content, a lot more diversity to this channel. So again, you just have to follow us so you can stay engaged with what we got dropped. But it's FYF Sports, man. Another great podcast episode. We'll be back with more sports and news later. But until then, it's FYF Sports.